I'd like to call to order the December 18th regular board meeting of the State College Area School District Board of Directors. If you could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. So welcome. I'd like to announce that the board held an executive session on December 4th regarding personnel and the following legal matters. One, federal court case 4:23-CV-01144 MWB and district court case 19024-00904. And additionally, the board held a brief exec session prior to this meeting on student discipline. So I'd like to welcome everyone in person this evening and those joining us remotely. Board members with an agenda before you, are there any changes? Okay. Seeing none, I'd like to now call on the board secretary for a roll call of board members.
Dr. Anderson.
Here.
Dr. Bader.
Here.
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Dr. Buck.
Here.
Dr. Crevecore.
Here.
Dr. Demo. Ms. Huff.
Here.
Mr. Colby.
Here.
Dr. Miller.
Here.
Okay. So this evening we have several retirements to announce. And so a couple different board members are going to share. Dr. Anderson's going to share some. We might have some guest speakers on some of our retirements. So we'd like to share a little bit about their history here in the district. So first this evening we have Kathy Jo Miller is retiring in June with 32 years in the district. Kathy started on September 1st, 1988 as a Hauserville elementary teacher, continuing in that role until 2015. She then transitioned into being an instructional support teacher at Hauserville for the next 4 years before working as in the same position at Coral Street Elementary. Coral Street Principal Kelly Mark commended Kathy for her dedication to teaching, saying, "Kathy has served our children, families, and coworkers in the State College Area School District for the last 32 years. She was a grade level teacher for most of her tenure, but the last 8 years she has worked as an MTSS interventionist at Coral Street. I've had the privilege of working with Kathy for the last 5 years as principal of Coral Street. There is literally no one with a bigger heart for students, families, and educators than Kathy. She has brought passion and commitment to her role that has been second to none. In addition to being our MTSS interventionist, she has led our efforts to banner success with the state for many years. Our continued success with school-wide positive behavior supports is no doubt due to her leadership at Coral Street. Every single morning, Kathy is in our hallways ready to greet students with words. She is a true champion for kids and the epitome of a team player. I will miss working closely with Kathy, and it will not be an easy task to find someone to fill her shoes. I know I speak for the entire Coral Street Village when I share how truly bittersweet this is. She is a gem." The board thanks Kathy for her service and wishes her the best in retirement. Next, Michelle Allen will retire in June with 35 years of service in the district. Starting in 1988, Michelle taught at the former Hauserville Elementary School until 2015. That year, she switched to being an instructional support teacher at Hauserville for the next 4 years, continuing in the same role at Spring Creek to the present day. Spring Creek Principal Paul Brigman noted Michelle has been a dedicated and cherished member of Hauserville's and Spring Creek's faculties, saying, "Over the years, Michelle has not only been an excellent educator, but also a mentor and friend to many within our community. Her passion for teaching and commitment to the success of her students has left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those she has touched. In addition, Michelle played a vital role in the social committees and events planned at Hauserville and Lamont. As the two schools became one, Michelle continued to coordinate social events for faculty and staff that contributed to building a stronger community at Spring Creek. In many ways, Michelle is the heart of the social fabric of Spring Creek. She is committed to bringing staff and faculty together to share time, stories, and make meaningful connections. In this way, she strengthens the sense of community at Spring Creek in immeasurable ways. Let us celebrate her remarkable career and the positive impact she has had on countless lives. We are immensely grateful for her years of service, and we wish her in retirement a retirement filled with joy, relaxation, and new adventures. Please join us in expressing our deepest gratitude for her contributions and in wishing her well on this new chapter. Thank you, Michelle, for your unwavering dedication to education and the betterment of our school community. Your legacy will endure, and you will be dearly missed. The board thanks Michelle for her service and wishes her well in the retirement. Next, Helen Quinn is retiring June with 37 years in the district. In 1987, Helen started as an intermediate high school math teacher. After a year, she taught math at the former junior high school for 13 years, and then at Park Forest Middle School for 2 more years. From 2003 to 2020, she was an instructional technology specialist at several locations district-wide. Since then, she has worked in that role at Mount Nittany Middle School. Mount Nittany Principal Brian Ishler commended Helen for her dedication to colleagues and students, saying, "Helen goes above and beyond her normal duties to help any teacher or student. She is very willing to give her time to students so they can understand and/or work through a problem they are facing. To that end, she's always willing to make a video so staff and students understand something new. She's always anticipating what questions need to be asked when working through a new program and how to make it easier for staff and students. Mount Nittany will miss Helen and her videos. Good luck, Helen, in your retirement." The board thanks Helen for her service and also wishes her the best in retirement. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Anderson to do a few more.
Next, we have Laura Mullen, who is retiring in June with 34 years in the district. Since she started in 1990, Laura has taught math, first at the former junior high school for 5 years and then at Mount Nittany Middle School until the present day. Mount Nittany Principal Brian Ishler praised Laura for her attention to students, saying, "Laura approached all students with the belief that they could learn math, and she felt that she could be the one to teach them. She's a caring and loving teacher who treats students like they are her own child. She has a calming effect on the students within her classroom. You could sometimes see her riding her bike to and from school when weather accommodates her love of bike riding." Mount Nittany and the Green Team will miss Mrs. Mullen, as her current 7th grade students know her dearly, and we would all like to wish her good luck in her retirement. The board thanks Laura for her service and also wishes her the best in retirement. Teresa Del Real is retiring in June with 26 years in the district. In 1998, Terry, as she's known to colleagues, started as a Park Forest Elementary School computer lab teacher, switching to being a PFE classroom teacher after a year and continuing in that role until the present day. Park Forest Principal Jess Quinter noted Terry's passion for teaching and sense of fun, saying, "Terry most recently has taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade at Park Forest Elementary. She has taught 3rd grade for the past several years. Students in her class shared that they enjoy when they have pajama day, eating lollipops when they take tests, and playing fun games like Kahoot. They also shared that Mrs. Del Real is an active and energetic teacher, and she's funny, especially with the cockroaches in science. With Terry's love of traveling, it's no wonder that it comes through in her passionate teaching of social studies. She's been instrumental in leadership roles across the district, from serving on various committees to mentoring interns and new teachers. Her contributions over many years will have a lasting impact. She is known for her quick wit and humor. As a building leader, I appreciate Terry's experience and honesty and enjoy our conversations about traveling to new places. We wish Terry all the best in her retirement and know she will enjoy time relaxing on her boat and new camper. Congratulations, Terry, and thank you for your tremendous commitment to SCASD, its students and families, as well as your colleagues." The board also thanks Terry for her service and wishes her well in retirement. Jody Kamen is retiring in June after 33 and a half years of service in the district. From 1989 to 2018, Jody taught at Ferguson Township Elementary School, taking a year in 2007 to be a district-wide professional development associate. 3 years as an instructional coach at various district locations followed before she continued the role at Ferguson Township and Grays Woods Elementary Schools. Grays Woods Principal Chris DeWitt praised Jody's varied contributions to the district, saying, "Jody has worked as a passionate, dedicated educator in State College since 1989. She is considered a leader, expert, and friend to all, and has served the district in many capacities, including classroom teacher at Ferguson Township Elementary, teacher mentor to many pre-service and student teachers, Professional Development Associate and Co-Facilitator for the PSU SCASD Professional Development School Partnership, and most recently as an instructional coach at Ferguson Township and Grays Woods Elementaries. Jody has made an immeasurable impact on the students she's served and the adults she's worked with. We are so grateful to her and proud of all she's accomplished. We wish her the best as she moves into retirement. The board also thanks Jody for her service and wishes her the best in retirement as well. Steve McIninch is retiring in June with 27 years in the district. Since starting in 1997, Steve has taught science at Park Forest Middle School. Park Forest Principal Karen Weiser offered highlights of his distinguished tenure, saying, "Steve McIninch has been a dedicated and impactful faculty member for years. He was in the first group to receive one of the Patricia Best grants for his unit on agriculture and science called Milk and Cookies, Other Ways to Study Science. One of Steve's proudest moments was when he had a student invent an item that won them both a trip to the National Science Teachers Association convention in Las Vegas, for him and his student to be presented by Duracell in 1998. Steve's student, Kendall, won second place and $10,000. Steve himself won electronic equipment from this event. The following year, his students won third and fifth place. One of these students was inspired by this to go on to develop the device that lines athletic fields for the NCAA and NFL. He has also won numerous MAC grants and Student Day grants. He and his colleagues in the Park Forest Science Department have also written articles published in scientific journals. He's in the Park Forest Science PLC, which is the Ambitious Science Teaching PLC. Steve also worked with his students to enter the DuPont Science Essay Competition. Several students who won national recognition. Additionally, he has coached our Science Olympiad team for many years and has produced outstanding results. He can also be found at Tussey in the wintertime, coaching our IM skiing. When the weather warms up, he could be found using his certification in archery, teaching students how to use a bow and arrow. While at SCASD, Steve has hosted more than 20 student teachers from Penn State, Lock Haven, and Juniata. Also from 1997 to 2017, every science education major from PSU spent time in Steve's classroom. His many contributions to our students at Park Forest will always be remembered, appreciated, and celebrated. The board thanks Steve for his service and wishes him the best in retirement. We have a few more, so bear with me. James Robinson will retire in June with 28 years in the district. Jim, as he's known to colleagues, taught music for his entire career, starting in 1996 at State High and both middle schools for 8 years, and then exclusively at the high school for the rest of the way. District Music Coordinator Molly McIninch praised Jim's broad teaching expertise and musicianship, saying, "When Jim started in the district, he taught at State High and both Mount Nittany and Park Forest middle schools. He conducted the string orchestras and middle school string lessons. The State High Orchestra has performed original scores by John Williams, Corelli, J.S. Bach, Bernstein, Rimsky-Korsakov, Handel, Holst, Haydn, Copland, Glazunov, and Beethoven. Jim eventually created the elective rock ensemble in 2007, which grew to 2 ensemble courses, rock ensemble and advanced rock ensemble. In 2009, the PA Music Educators Association honored Jim by asking him to bring his State College Area High School rock ensemble to perform at the All-State Conference. He was one of very few music teachers who provide this opportunity for students in their schools. Now, many schools are providing courses in modern band as an ensemble course. Jim's proficiency also extends to jazz. He directs the Jazz Band 2 and has taken students to Europe 6 times for festivals. Jim is the creator and advisor of the high school event Battle of the Bands, which features State High student bands performing original music. On top of that, he's the advisor of the chess club and hosts the district-wide chess tournament. In addition to being an outstanding teacher, Jim is an excellent double bassist and electric bass guitarist. He composes original music, both songs and instrumental pieces, and is a professional sound engineer who runs his own recording studio. He can play and direct everything from Mozart to Metallica. We wish he had a few more verses left with him, but we know all songs must eventually end, and we wish Jim the best as the beat goes on with his art. The board thanks Jim for his service and also wishes him the best in retirement. Joanne Luzensky is retiring in June after 32 years in the district. Since she started in 1992, Joanne has taught Spanish at State High. From 2002 to 2005, she also served as the World Languages Language Department Coordinator. Current World Languages Department Coordinator Amanda Showers commended her colleagues' dedication to teaching, saying, "Joanne is a 35-year veteran of education, having been a valued member of the World Languages Department for the past 32 years. During her tenure at State High, in addition to sharing her love and passion for the Spanish language and culture with countless students over the years, Joanne has taught various levels of Spanish, has been the advisor of Spanish Club, as well as for the Sociedad Honoraria Hispanica, I'm so sorry, I don't speak Spanish, was a member of the Rotary High School Committee, served as department coordinator for 3 years, and has been a building representative for the State College Area Education Association since the 1990s. Joanne is a caring, energetic, enthusiastic colleague who never hesitates to go above and beyond for her students and fellow colleagues. She has thoroughly enjoyed teaching and working with such a wide variety of students, including a former school board member, Amber Concepcion, as well as 4 current high school faculty members, and has been especially touched by the thoughtful and meaningful interactions with her students who sometimes display a wisdom beyond their years. While Joanne will miss her students, her colleagues, and her sharing her love for Spanish, she is looking forward to more time with her family, for travel, for reading, for pleasure, and for Sunday evenings to take on a new meaning. Muchas gracias, Joanne. The board thanks Joanne for her service and wishes her the best in retirement. And now I will turn it back to Dr. Bader.
Okay. Next, we have Deborah Daggs. She is retiring in June with 32 years in the district. Starting in 1990, Deborah taught at Park Forest and Boalsburg Elementary Schools for her first 4 years. In 1995, she moved to Mount Nittany Middle School, teaching 6th grade for 2 years, and then working as a instructional support teacher until 2000. 2000. Since then, she has been a learning enrichment gifted teacher at Mount Nittany. Director of MTSS and Intervention Support, Jonathan Klingman, praised Deborah for her dedication to students, saying, "Her passion for public education has been evident since the first day I met her. To this day, Deborah has a genuine passion for teaching and developing strong relationships with her students. She believes the best way to meet an individual student's needs is to know them, know what they love, and what interests them, and then open doors to that world by helping them to explore those passions. Never afraid to say out loud what is on her mind, Deborah inspires colleagues and friends alike with her sense of humor and candor. She pushes the limits in her quest to inspire her students and challenge the system to continually be better. Deborah's work in the Gifted Support and Learning Enrichment Program can best be described as heartening, and her former students have frequently shared how impactful she was on their educational journey. Deborah's replacement will have big shoes to fill, and she will be missed. The board thanks Deborah for her service and wishes her the best in retirement." Diane Reed is retiring in June with 36 years in the district. After starting in 1988, Diane taught at Radio Park and Easterly Parkway Elementary Schools until 2007. Beginning in 2006 and continuing to the present day, she has been a learning enrichment gifted teacher at Grays Woods and Ferguson Township Elementary Schools, Mount Nittany and Park Forest Middle Schools, and the Delta program. Director of MTSS and Interventional Support, Jonathan Klingman, commended Deborah for her commitment, saying, "Diane, sorry, yeah, that was a typo. So it's Diane, sorry." For her commitment, saying Diane is always willing to take the next challenge and push herself and her thinking to better meet the needs of her students. Her honest warmth and inclusive personality drives her to seek equity for all of her students, friends, and colleagues. Her deeply perceptive nature and gentle demeanor always make those around her feel like everything is going to be okay. Diane listens with genuine attentiveness and innately knows how to form a response that is well-intentioned, authentic, and constructive. Diane's impact at Delta as a true believer in the democratic process and a strong advocate for student voice is truly appreciated, and her absence will be sorely felt by her students and colleagues. Her work will leave a lasting impression on our district, Gifted Support and Learning Enrichment, and the Delta community. Diane has been a confident colleague and, most important, an incredible friend since I joined the Gifted team nearly 8 years ago. She always brings rays of sunshine to even the cloudiest days. The board thanks Diane for her service and wishes her the best in retirement. And I thank her personally. She welcomed one of my children to Delta, and she was a wonderful, that was a wonderful welcome. And our very last one, we're going to ask Dr. Buck to read.
Gary Mascalier is retiring in June after 31 years in the district. Starting in 1993, Gary has taught English in the Delta program. Delta Director John Downs praised Gary's impact on his students, saying, "Gary's energy, joyful, bellowing screams, and passion for his classes, his students, and the Delta program will be deeply missed. His joy for learning and the educational process is contagious. Gary is a consistent source of stability and institutional memory and a committed facilitator of the Delta mission. He pushes everyone around him to think about the decisions that are made, what voices are missing, and how they are impacting the students they will be affecting. We wish Gary nothing but the best in his well-earned retirement." Gary was my 12th grade English teacher. He was always kind and caring, which was so good for me. I was Gary's first disciplinary encounter with a student. And despite my adolescent difficulties, Gary cared about me and sought to incite my imagination and a love of the English language, teaching me the art of the short story and of creative writing. But perhaps what is most touching for me is that Gary has also taught my son, who thinks the absolute world of him. Thank you, Gary. You will be missed. And the board thanks Gary for his service and also wishes him the best in retirement.
Thank you. So that concludes our retirees for this evening. And next, yeah. So I'd like to welcome back Mr. Johnson and call on him for an update on superintendent initiatives.
Thank you. On December 28th, the girls and boys basketball teams will honor a beloved former high school staff member and coach, Rudy Burris, on day one of their holiday tournament with a rally for Rudy. Rudy, who is battling cancer, devoted his life to serving our students in the classroom, on the basketball court, and beyond. Funds from the rally as part of the State College basketball Blue Out will go directly to support Rudy's medical costs, treatments, medication, medical equipment, ADA upgrades, and other needs. So come on down to the high school gym on December 28th to cheer on the teams and help support Rudy. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. I'd now like to call on Stephen Fowler to provide an update on student initiatives. But before you start, I hear that this is the last evening you're going to be with us. So we're disappointed to hear that, but we've really enjoyed having you here and your great questions that you've asked. And we do look forward to meeting the next student and see what they have to offer as well. But we wish you the best because you're graduating this year, right, Stephen? One
No,
more?
I'm a junior, so.
You're a junior. Oh, one more year. Okay, well, good. Then we'll get to hopefully see you around at work sessions. But go ahead, you can share.
Thank you. Congratulations to State High student Adam Hallaker for receiving a prestigious 2024 Young Arts Award in Jazz Trumpet. Adam was among the nearly 700 students nationwide recognized as accomplished young visual, literary, and performing artists. Young Arts Award winners are selected through a highly competitive application, which is reviewed by panels of esteemed, discipline-specific artists in a rigorous adjudication process. State High junior Jaylene Everhart, representing Pennsylvania as a member of the Little Lions FFA chapter, recently won a first-place award at the National Young Farmer Education Association Institute and Agriculture Communication Competition, that's a long one, at Texas A&M University. As one of the 2 Pennsylvania students selected by the PA Young Farmers Association, Jaylene took first in the Agriculture Expressions contest by writing an essay on a current agricultural or environmental topic, a personal biographical sketch, and a release for publication statement. For winning, she earned a trip to Washington, D.C. to the NYFEA Agriculture Promise Forum. Congratulations, Jaylene, on your achievement. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Jackie, do you have a legislative update for us this evening?
Oh, do I?
Awesome.
All right. So there was a vote-a-palooza in the state legislature last week, and we finally have a state budget. So that's very exciting, complete with code bills. So there are several items of note regarding education I wanted to share with you all tonight. All right. First of all, so the $1 million that had originally been allocated for the most underfunded districts in the state as level up funding will not be distributed. Instead, these funds were diverted to a state board to fund school construction projects. The board that's going to be distributing these funds is called the Public School Facility Improvement Grant Program and will provide grants to school districts and career and technical centers for an array of eligible facility improvement projects, including roof, window, HVAC, plumbing, environmental hazard remediation, and energy saving projects. Projects must have a minimum cost of $500,000. The maximum grant award is $5 million, and grant awards require a 25% local match. There's also been an additional $75 million allocated towards remediation and removal of asbestos, lead, and other toxins in schools throughout the Commonwealth. In addition, this is the good news. The legislature approved monies to provide a $10,000 stipend to student teachers, $15,000 if the student teacher teaches in a school with high turnover rates. Previously, teachers in training were expected to work in classroom without pay before earning a teacher certification. And it's hoped that offering this stipend will help add individuals to the teacher training pipeline and or keep more people in the pipeline. So that's a really big lift for the legislature that they did. So thank you. Federal dollars for school mental health have been approved for distribution in the current code bills. So each school district will receive a base grant of $100,000 and a prorated share based on adjusted average daily membership. Each intermediate unit, area, career, and technical school, and charter school will receive $70,000 for mental health. Some sad news, perhaps, but not unexpected, is that Act 33 made a moratorium on new applications under the original PlanCon program permanent. So that the moratorium is permanent, and delays to PlanCon 2.0 and the maintenance program will not be operating until July 1st, 2024. All right, next I have a number of items related to the Educational Improvement Tax Credit and the Opportunity Scholarship Tax Credit. So there have been changes to this program. The first change is that there will be an additional $150 million put into these two programs this year. And I've read two different, so that means there's going to be up to about $500 million in tax credits available this year in those two programs. Another point of interest on that program is that, so previously administrative holdover was 20%. So if business A gave scholarship company or scholarship fund B $100,000, the scholarship fund administrative costs were allowed to be 20% of that contribution. Now it's only 10%. So they've cut in half the amount that the administrative holdover is allowed. So in exchange for that increase of $150 million, the exchange was that now there are going to be new reporting requirements for all the funds distributed to students beginning in 25-26. So for each scholarship awarded, annual reports will be required to include the amount of the scholarship, what grade the student is in, whether the student was an eligible student or an eligible student with a disability, and the name of the applicant's school district of residence, as well as the name of the school entity that the student attends. So up to this point, there's been no reporting on any of these distribution of funds. So this is a big win for people who want a lot more transparency in the program itself. Small item regarding payment in lieu of taxes. The amount per acre the Commonwealth will pay to school districts, counties, and townships for state-owned lands that are exempt from local property taxation will be increasing from $2 per acre to $2.40 per acre. This rate hadn't been updated since 2016. So in addition to all those education items, I'd also like to share that as part of the budget finalizations, that the child care tax credit has been expanded in the state of Pennsylvania. This allows parents to deduct child care costs from their state taxable income. Under the new law, parents will receive a refundable tax credit equal to their federal child care deduction. So, for example, a family with an income of under $43,000 with one eligible dependent, the tax credit used to be $315, but now it will be $1,050. For a family earning above $43,000, the tax credit will change from $180 to $600. I had a brief conversation with a colleague who is very active in the Pennsylvania child care advocacy world, and she assured me that these changes are a huge win for low and middle income families. All right, so please note that all of this budget news is very fresh, and while I'm very happy to report this roundup, the district will be working to understand the impact of all this legislative action, and more will be reported by the finance team at future meetings. Last item, I promise. Aside from the budget, I'm pleased to announce that the State College Area School District Board of Directors added their signature to a letter prepared by the School Nutrition Association of Pennsylvania. This letter is addressed to Governor Shapiro, encouraging him to include universal free meals in his state budget for next year. Just as a reminder, this advocates for free breakfast and free lunch for every student in Pennsylvania. And this aligns with SCASD Board's resolution to support universal free meals that was passed last May. And that was also an effort spearheaded by SNAPA. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Jackie. Peter and Gretchen, do you have anything to report from COG?
I just have one very short thing.
Okay.
The pools will open in 141 days.
That aligns really well with almost the longest darkest day of the year. That's very good. Okay, so at this time we have time for public comment. Each individual will be allotted up to 3 minutes. For action items, public comment will be held just prior to voting on that item as required by the Sunshine Act. If additional time is necessary, the board may consider reopening public comment after board business is completed or during the next meeting. As a reminder, public comment is a chance for community members to share their thoughts with the board. It is not a time for the board to answer questions or engage in conversations. You can always email the board at all-board@scasd.org. Is there anyone present in person that would like to make a public comment? Yeah. So if you come to the podium and tell us who you are.
Shay McGowan, I am the SCAA president. I just wanted to publicly congratulate all professionals, all SCAA members that have submitted their intent to retire at the end of the school year. And everybody, we will miss, they will be missed.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jay. Do we have anyone else here in person to make public comment? Okay, anyone joining us remotely for public comment? Okay. Sure. Okay, so Jen Norse, we see you have your hand raised. If you unmute yourself, we'd be happy if you can introduce yourself and where you reside in the district, and you'll have 3 minutes to make a public comment.
Sure. Hello, my name is Jen Norse. I live in Patton Township, and I'm a mother of 2 at Delta Middle School. And I just wanted to state that Delta is a point of pride in the district, and that any changes to the culture, structure, governance, and curriculum of both the middle school and the high school at Delta must be done carefully and in a transparent way to take the next right step, please. I'm asking what tools are needed for you to ensure that the culture, structure, governance, and curriculum will remain intact and not lost in data conversations. I'm hoping that the board can update the public as to what is the driving force behind a potential change to Delta, migrating it possibly from a program to a school. Is this a data tracking problem? And can you please communicate with us as to how you intend to secure Delta's independence? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else joining us remotely for public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to routine approvals. A motion to approve the routine approval listing as presented is on the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on any of these items? Okay. Any public comment on the routine approvals? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Ms. Huff,
Yes.
Mr. Colby,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Bader,
Yes.
Ms. Brandt,
Yes.
Dr. Buck,
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore,
Yes.
Dr. Dino.
Okay, that item is passed. Moving on to action items, agenda item 6A is a motion to accept 2022-2023 audited financial statements, and this is shown in attachment 6A.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on this item? Okay, do we have any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Mr. Colby,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Bader.
Yes.
Ms. Brandt.
Yes.
Dr. Buck.
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore.
Yes.
Dr. Demo. Ms. Huff.
Yes.
That item is passed. Agenda item 6B is a motion to approve the 2024-2025 Budget Accelerated Opt-out Resolution. This is shown in attachment 6B.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. We have Mr. Brown and Mr. Vigilion at the table for any questions or discussion on this item. So this is essentially an opt-out resolution, which we often do each year, which states that the board and the district don't intend to be in excess of the Act 1 index moving forward for next year's budget. Okay. No questions? Any public comment? Okay, we can have a roll call vote.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Bader.
Yes.
Ms. Brandt.
Yes.
Dr. Buck.
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore.
Yes.
Dr. Demo.
Yes.
Ms. Huff.
Yes.
Mr. Colby.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is passed. Agenda item 6C is a motion to approve affiliation agreement with Hamish Brewer as a keynote speaker for opening day, as shown in attachment 6C. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on this item? All right, we're just clicking along here. Any public comment on this item? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Bader.
Yes.
Ms. Brandt.
Yes.
Dr. Buck.
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore.
Yes.
Dr. Demo.
Yes.
Ms. Huff.
Yes.
Mr. Colby.
Yes.
Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6D is a motion to approve a service agreement with James Daniel for CTC Professional Development and Curriculum Management, as shown in attachment 6D.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion on this item? Okay, looks like none. Any public comment for this item?
No.
All right, we'll have a roll call.
Dr. Bader.
Yes.
Ms. Brandt.
Yes.
Dr. Buck.
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore.
Yes.
Dr. Demo.
Yes.
Ms. Huff.
Yes.
Mr. Colby.
Yes.
Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6E is a motion to approve a Penn State research proposal by Dr. Janice Bird. This is shown in attachment 6E.
So move.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion? Yeah, Dr. Anderson. I think Dr. Bird is joining us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
please.
Yeah, please.
And if you just hit the little button so the green light lights up, you'll be heard well.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. I just had one question, and I'm just not familiar with how many students we already have participating. On page 3, when you talk about the new affinity group, you said once 15% participants who meet the inclusion criteria have signed up, the group will be closed. So I guess my question is, do we have any concern that we might have more than 15 interested students? And if we do have more than 15 interested students, how are we going to accommodate their interest? Because if I'm understanding it correctly, we currently have an affinity group that's open to all, and I have some concern about cutting it off
Yeah.
and limiting it for research purposes if we're not providing that to other students in the school.
Very good question. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. That average was based on, this is my third year assisting with the group. And so I based that on the average number of girls that come to the group. But definitely, we would not close it off if there are more. And on the IRB, actually put more than 15. So, so we would consider it, but I would need to probably bring in another person to help co-facilitate to ensure that we're attending to the needs of the participants.
Okay. That makes sense. I just don't want to see it cut off. And I don't
Yeah.
think sometimes when the attachments come to us, if they're the Penn State, if we don't have a Penn State ID, we can't read the attachments in the IRB proposal. So anyway, so if that was in that, I apologize. I
Oh,
just
yeah,
couldn't see that.
no problem. Yeah, very good question. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Any other questions on this research proposal? Okay.
I just think that it sounds like a fantastic research, and I would definitely love to hear the results.
Yeah, definitely, we'll share. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No.
Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ms. Brandt,
Yes.
Dr. Buck,
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore,
Yes.
Dr. Demo,
Yes.
Ms. Huff,
Yes.
Mr. Colby,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Bader.
Yes. So that item has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to thank you for running those groups for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've heard all good things. Next on agenda item 6F is a motion to approve Penn State research proposal by Mr. Jared Van. This is shown in attachment 6F. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on this item? Yeah, Dr. Carver? That,
Because the proposed date was like in October or something, the one that they sent us, and I was just wondering.
oh, because that's already passed.
Right.
Hmm.
Vanessa, Jared Van is on. Can you let him in?
I'm here.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I could not hear the question.
I was just wondering about the proposed date to start. When did you plan to start this research?
I was going to plan on, I'm sorry, I was going to plan on starting it in January at the beginning of the next semester.
Okay.
I wanted to try to start it earlier, but I wasn't able to get it in front of the board in enough time to start it before or earlier, but the IRB states that it can be started then.
Yeah, I figured that's probably what happened because it was set October, so I had a feeling that things happened that you couldn't get it through so fast. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Miller.
Yeah, just a quick question for you, Jared. I may have missed this in your IRB proposal, but I was wondering how you're going to identify who the participants are of your study. It looks like you have 4 to 6. Do you have I'm sure there are more than 4 to 6 students who experience anxiety in school, so I just wondered how you're going to identify your sample.
Yeah, I've actually spoken with the school psychologists who have said that they have some students that they believe would be good selections for this study. And if all goes well, I would like to do another study where I can have more students come if possible or if necessary.
Great.
Great, thank you. Any other questions on this research proposal? Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No.
All right, we'll have a roll call vote.
Dr. Buck,
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore,
Yes.
Dr. Demo,
Yes.
Ms. Huff,
Yes.
Mr. Colby,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Bader,
Yes,
Ms. Brandt.
Yes.
that item is passed. Agenda item, congratulations, thanks, Dr. Van. Agenda item 6G is a motion to approve an agreement with Center for Responsive Classroom. This is shown in attachment 6G. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion for this item? Okay, any public comment?
No.
All right, we'll have a roll call.
Dr. Crevecore,
Yes.
Dr. Demo,
Yes.
Ms. Huff,
Yes.
Mr. Colby,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Bader.
Yes.
Ms. Brandt.
Yes.
Dr. Buck.
Yes.
That item is passed. Agenda item 6H is a motion to approve the purchase of wrestling mats. This is shown in attachment 6H.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion for this item? Looks like we're going to replace a 25-year-old mat that's 15 years past its due date, so, all right. No questions, any public comment on this item?
No.
All right, we'll have a roll call.
Dr. Demo,
Yes.
Ms. Huff,
Yes.
Mr. Colby,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Bader.
Yes.
Ms. Brandt.
Yes.
Dr. Buck,
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore.
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6I is a motion to approve natural gas rate renewals. That's hard to say. This is shown in attachment 6I.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. That item is been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? We have Mr. Brown at the table, and I believe there were some changes a little bit to this agenda item.
Yes, I appreciate your willingness to allow us to update the memo. The national energy rates move daily, and so we received updated rates today, and they were favorable. However, we did make a change to move to a 12-month period instead of a longer period as we had recommended previously. Just in looking at it further, and with the rate changes, we believe that this is the better rate to move to at this time.
Okay, that makes sense. Any questions for Mr. Brown on this item?
So is the sense that the rate is moving downward, and that's why we're going with it?
There wasn't an incentive
Okay.
to go lock in for the
Oh.
lower rates, assuming that we don't have a crystal ball, but that we felt that this was the best opportunity for us.
Anything else? Okay, any public comment on this item?
No.
All right, we'll have a roll call.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
No.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6J is a motion to approve power modifications to a Career and Technology Center classroom. This is shown on attachment 6J.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on this item? So this is a bit of a retrofit to make the classroom a little more usable per the function, the way it functions. Okay? No? All right. Any public comment on this item?
No.
No. We'll have a roll call.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo? Yes. Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6K is a motion to approve testing services for the physical plant building. This is shown in attachment 6K. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion on this item? Okay. Any public comment?
No.
We'll have a roll call.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6L is a motion to approve revisions to policy 239, foreign exchange students, as shown in attachment 6L.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussions for this item? Kind of bounced this back a couple times, but I think we're in a final version. Okay, seeing none, do we have any public comment?
No.
Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6M is a motion to approve revisions to policy 601, fiscal objectives. This is shown in attachment 6M.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion for this item? Okay, any public comment?
No.
We'll have a roll call.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt? Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. So we're doing several policy adjustments just for the public's edification. We have several more to go, but we've seen these several times in previous meetings, so that's why there's not a lot of questions. So next up is agenda item 6N, a motion to approve revisions to policy 605, tax levy. This is shown in attachment 6N.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Are there questions or discussions for this one? Okay, any public comment?
No.
We'll have a roll call.
Ms. Brandt? Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes. That item is passed. Agenda item 6O is a motion to approve a recommendation to retire policy 605.1, personal tax exemptions. This is shown in attachment 6O.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion?
It's always nice when we can retire a policy.
Absolutely. Especially when they get into like point ones.
One.
Yeah, for sure. Any public comment on this item?
No.
Seeing none, we'll have a roll call.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Dino? Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6P is a motion to approve revisions to policy 607, tuition income. This is shown in attachment 6P. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussions for this policy item? Okay. Any public comment?
No.
Seeing none, we'll have a roll call.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Dino? Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6Q is a motion to approve revisions to policy 608, bank accounts. This is shown in attachment 6Q.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion for this policy item? Okay, I'm going to keep trucking along. Any public comment?
No.
All right, roll call, please.
Dr. Demo? Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. The only promise I can make is we don't go all the way to Z, but we still got quite a few more. Agenda item 6R is a motion to approve revisions to policy 609, investment of district funds, shown in attachment 6R.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion for this item? Any public comment?
No.
We'll have a roll call.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6S is a motion to approve revisions to policy 611, purchases budgeted. This is shown in attachment 6S. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any public comments?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
That item is passed. I feel like I should be an auctioneer and go faster. Agenda item 6T is a motion to approve revisions to policy 612, purchases not budgeted. This is shown in attachment 6T.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, these are a lot of boilerplate financial policies that we went through previously. Any public comment?
No.
We'll have a roll call.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Dino?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6U is a motion to approve revisions to policy 617, petty cash. This is shown in attachment 6U. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Okay, any public comment?
No.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6V is a motion to approve revisions to policy 903, public participation in board meetings. This is shown in attachment 6V. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Questions or discussion on this item?
I have a question.
Sure. Ms. Brandt.
So if this was answered in our previous discussions, I just don't remember, but where it says no participant may speak more than once on the same topic unless an exception is made at the discretion of the presiding officer, does that mean that we will no longer allow people to yield their time? So in the past, I've never noticed any objections when somebody's making a public comment, their time runs out and they say, well, I'm, yielding the rest of my 3 minutes to, that. I've never seen objections to that. So I was just wondering, is that what this is intending to do?
I don't think that would, well, so Sky can answer. I know in policy committee, our discussion was like sometimes on very popular topics, we may have a person speak and then have 2 or 3 or 4 others speak and have that same first person want to come back and speak again. That was the intent of what this phrase was referenced to, that allowing them to do that would be at the discretion of the chair. It wasn't so much about yielding time, but Scott, do you want to add something
I
about?
would agree with, I don't participate in the committee meetings, but I would have agreed exactly with what you said. I don't feel, I shouldn't say I've never heard it. There are times when people want to say I'm yielding my time. I don't feel like that happens very often, but I think what happens is someone will come up, they know that their 3 minutes are up and they're planned ahead, and they pass on whatever they were going to say jointly with someone else. That's a new 3 minutes. I don't view that as yielding their time.
Okay. Yeah, I've definitely, I've seen that quite often. Someone, if they can't complete their comment, may have their partner or some other family member complete their statement.
If
Yeah.
I can interject, I'm not saying we can't change anything that's in the policy. I just wanted you all to know this is current language.
Yep. Yeah, Dr. Buck.
Yeah, so on, under content of comment, bullet point 3, include references to students by name for whom the commenter is not a parent, guardian.
Correct.
That's great. What I guess that, I wish I would have asked this last time. But should it say students or minors?
So conceivable that non-students of ours, or minor kids for whatever reason.
Correct.
I don't know.
Or a homeschooled,
Right.
a parent of a homeschooled, or.
It could be
or
somebody from
not even a
Bellefonte or
parent.
somewhere else.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
but a youth, yeah, we
Right,
don't.
yeah, so that's the only thing that, which, that we could just,
Right, that's a minor change, I don't think.
yeah, and I think that it,
Go ahead, I know.
well, I mean, if I were to amend and there was no objection, perhaps we could adopt with.
So are you asking to amend, Dr. Buck?
Yes, I would like to make an amendment, which would say,
Okay.
under bullet point 3, include references to students or minors by name.
Do I hear any objection? Okay, with no objection to the amendment, it stands and is part of the standing motion. Any other questions or discussions for this item? Okay, so the motion on the table is still to approve public policy partition, policy 903, public participation in board meetings. Okay? Any public comment on this item?
No.
Okay, we can have a roll call.
Dr. Bader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Dino?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Agenda item 6W is a motion to approve a transportation contractor agreement. This is shown in attachment 6W. Motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion for this item? Yeah.
I have a
Dr.
question. In reading this, number 9, page 4, and then number 10, assignment of drivers, and when they're talking about how they have to be, certified and they have to get through all these training, in the beginning it says, for number 9, it says all drivers. And then on number 10, it says specifically both regular and substitute drivers. Is there a reason for that? I don't know, lawyer speak. Could they have said all?
It's an agreement that's probably been revised 20 or 30 times over the last 20 or 30 years. And that's one paragraph used that language, and the next one used the other language. I don't have any recollection how or why that came to be, but no, there's no legal significance.
Okay, because when I was reading number 9, I kept thinking, oh, this is really good. I hope that's also for the substitutes. And I assume it was until I read number 10, and number 10 specifically said the substitutes. So then I started questioning number 9. And I think it should be consistent.
I don't disagree. We can make that change.
Okay, thank
Will
you.
be, this is obviously a new agreement. All of our agreements with all of our contractors will be expiring in June, so we can make those changes then.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Huff.
So, Mr. Brown, just to be clear, this isn't a change in our transportation at all. It's just a kind of like a movement of one route to a new provider, correct?
Correct. The new provider is actually a current driver with Brown's Busing, and he wanted to start his own business. And so, obviously with the same last name, they are relatives. And so there was an agreement to do this, and it's not in any way a competition or anything. It's just to allow a new business venture.
I'm glad you're not the Mr. Brown starting a new business. So, thank you for explaining that.
I am not starting a busing company.
There's a lot of Browns on this page, so.
Any other questions on this contract?
Thank goodness we ran out of policy.
I know. Any public comment?
No.
Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore? Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Vader?
Yes. And last but not least, agenda item 6X is a motion to approve the purchase of natatorium starting blocks as shown in attachment 6X.
So moved.
Second.
Has moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on this item? As it mentions in the memo, the Booster Club will be contributing a sizable portion of the purchase. Yes. Dr. Anderson.
That is specifically my question. The memo doesn't say how much the Booster Club is providing, so do we have a agreement on what the split is?
The officers of the Booster Club have told me that they will confirm after a special meeting on Wednesday, but I expect it to be $12,000.
So approximately
Approximately
50/50. Okay, thank you.
Does he hand over the sign? Any other questions?
I was going to.
Okay. Any public comment on this item?
No.
Okay, we'll have a roll call.
Dr. Buck?
Yes.
Dr. Crevecore?
Yes.
Dr. Demo?
Yes.
Ms. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Dr. Vader?
Yes.
Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Everybody gonna hold out till the end, or does anybody need to take a 5-minute recess? Thought I'd just check in. All right, we can plow ahead. Next up, we have information reports. First up is the power purchase agreement update. Mr. Brown will provide an update on this item.
And I'd like to ask Ms. Adams to join me at the table.
So Pam Adams is joining us. Thank you. It's good to see you.
That's nice to be here.
So Pam and I work very closely with the other members of the working group. And tonight, I wanted to allow her to join with us in this presentation. And maybe if there was any questions that you had, please feel free to pose them to Pam while she's here with us. So on our milestone slide that we've been working with the working group for quite a long period of time, we are nearing the completion. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. We are, Pam, why don't you go ahead and, you came tonight, you can speak to.
All right. So the power purchase agreement, where'd it go? Okay. It's just important to understand that there are two components to it to have it be managed. The one is with the solar developer, which is Prospect 14, and that contract is going to be for 15 years. It's at a fixed rate, and it's for a percent of the electricity of which all of the entities have said that they're interested in having that electricity. To get the grid, the electricity, and it's all complicated behind the scenes, you need a retailer, which is Direct Energy, to manage that on all of our behalves. The school district has multiple accounts, all 12 organizations has multiple accounts, and there's the buying and selling of the electricity at the hub and different nodes. So that retailer will be managing that for us, and that contract is for 5 years. So currently, like you just signed on to a contract for 1 year with natural gas. We've been doing it consistently at the school district as well as many of the other organizations that manages your electricity account. So we've signed on for that for 5 years, or we're looking to sign on to that for 5 years. And those are the two relationships. So there's those two relationships, but there are 5 contracts. The first 2 are with Direct Energy, and that is sort of currently the kind of contract that you have right now. So that is something that's kind of standard to us, familiar, and that is, we need to have that with Direct Energy. The third one with Direct Energy is the services agreement that is not only saying that we're going to get electricity for this certain rate, but they're going to manage the PPA for us. So that's a new piece. Then the blue is the in schedule is what they call it. I consider it a tri-party agreement that says Direct Energy, the school district, or whichever organization you're with, and Prospect 14 are all going to work together towards that same process, that we're all working together on what we all need. And then the PPA master is sort of the big document that's with Prospect 14, and that is for the life of the 15 years that has been vetted by the consultant and the solicitor for lot to make sure that we're at minimal risk and that all of the pieces are tied together. So this slide is maybe something newer, but we're trying to help people understand what this looks like. And as Randy said before, we cannot see a crystal ball. We don't know what the markets are going to be. But with this PPA, we will get a fixed rate. But there are some variations. So the first is that there is an escalator. So that dark blue, when we lock in on year 1, the PPA rate is 4.5 cents. So it's 0.0459 if you want to look at it that way. So that is fixed for that year. There's a 1.5 escalator. So in year 10, I give the example, and then year 15, that is a known rate over the 15 years. For all electricity, there are additional fees, okay? So that light blue are the fees that are associated with electricity, of which include the grid pass-through and retail adder, and that's about 15 and 2.5. So you can either say 15 cents or, and then 2.5 cents. Of that 20 is those first 2. And those first 2 are things that we pay for our electricity today, whether we're doing either a PPA or new. So the majority of that is fixed regardless. The 2 new fees in there is the management fee, which is Direct Energy's piece, as well as the ongoing services contract that we're looking at, because there is a process that has to occur, and we want to make sure it's being managed properly and that what we've signed up for is what we're getting. And so those 2 fees are in descriptive on the PPA fact sheet. But that's what that number is. And so those fees are set for 5 years. The PJM pass-through and retail adder, we estimate what those are, but you're paying those regardless. And then the orange is that other little variation that can occur, which we call the settlement cost. And that is because solar is changes over the year. So in July, you'll have much more solar production than you will in December, because the days are shorter in December, as well as solar, you don't have any solar electricity in the nighttime. So there is the buying and selling of the traditional grid electricity. So that settlement variation is about 5%. So if you look at the plus or minus 5%, it shows what that will be over the time period. And I don't know what you're paying right now, or the school district is, but COG was at 0.067. So we're in that today. That's our 12-month contract. It seems like it's in line with what we can get with traditional electricity, and then this would allow us to be buying renewable energy. So if you're just looking at the electricity portion of it, which is that 0.0459, you can see the PPA, that dotted line is 0.0459 with a little bit of escalator. So that's what that is showing. The market price comes from our consultant, and this is something that happens. They can pull up these records. I don't have access to it, but it's a forward energy market prediction. When it was in the midst of the beginning of the Ukraine war, the energy prices were much higher. So, but right now, based on current policy, this is what the prediction is, and that's that dark blue top line. And so our average bill rate is the gray line that you can kind of tell is gray there. And so the idea here is that we are looking at, electricity prices that are going to be below market. We're going to lock them in for that time period. And if the markets go much higher, which they have in the last year or two, and they've also gone lower if you look out 3 years. So, there's going to be different spikes, if you want to say, but traditionally speaking, this is about where we've been paying for traditional grid electricity. And, it's what the markets are going to do in the future. We'll have to wait and see. But we're at kind of a low point, we feel like. This is about what it typically is at the low end. So we're pleased with the numbers so far. All right, so that sort of talks about the rates and what the fees will be through the contracts. What we have spent total for the working group is shown here, just to put that information out there to the public, that we have hired the consultant and they've kept their fee to that $69,700. The legal review was way higher than we had initially planned and thought in 2019. But they have also kept their max as their max, and so far we have not incurred any additional expenses, planned expenses. So that brings us to a total of $234,725. P14, the consultant has gone ahead and pushed a little bit more, and we're now expecting to get $60,000 back as a reimbursement with 3 different milestones. The first one being for those who sign the contract, there'll be $12,500 back. Then once they're getting ready to build, and then at the end of the completion, so that $60,000 will be reimbursed to all who sign contracts, so that the total cost would be about $175,000 total for all organizations. And then you each should have gotten the PPA fact sheet, which is kind of mostly a summary of what I just went through to try to make it somewhat easy to understand. And if people have questions, we can go through that. But again, there's that cost slide, which then lists out the numbers of the different fees and who's still in the working group, and then the key points there. And really, some of the top 2 key points is that we've really put a lot of effort into this. And so the solicitor, consultant, project management team has been working on this obviously for years. I was going to say decades, but that's not quite yet.
Almost.
For years. No, I'm just joking. And so we're definitely going to be giving out the contracts, looking for, making sure people are clear on what it is and what we're doing, but that we're, not expecting to have little bits and pieces that have to be changed, because we think we've got a very solid bunch of contracts. And then this is also for a PPA, just to make sure that we, started out calling it a solar power purchase agreement, and that's still what the working group name is, but we are purchasing the electricity from the solar. The solar array will be helping and beneficial to the Pennsylvania grid, but the utilities will be getting credit for that. They'll have to buy the renewable energy credits. And so if people want to say that they're purchasing solar, they'll have to buy renewable energy credits. But again, there's different ways to make claims, but we just want to make sure we're consistent and fair and transparent in what we say. And so this is then the chart shows the different costs. So for the school district, you can see that your total cost after the reimbursement will be $75,663. Hopefully that matches up. And then, so this is the 12 organizations, and it shows the commitment that everyone has made into the amount of electricity they want to get from the solar array, what that turns out to be as far as, the megawatt hours. And so we are anticipating that the solar developer will build a 22 megawatt roughly solar array in Walker Township. And it shows the percentage share of everybody who's participating in that at this time. So the next steps are that the contracts are 99.9% finished, we believe. We don't have them in hand yet, but we're hoping to get them by the end of the year. But with the holidays and everything, we know that you will probably not be reading them over the holidays, but we hope to get them out to the different staff and people who are interested in them by the end of the year, beginning of January, so that the January 24th working group meeting will be prepared to go through the contracts in detail. Going through those, the consultant has already drafted an abstract, if you want to say, to understand more technically about the contracts. And then the working group should then distribute it out to their boards and councils so that in February, it can be the time for questions and answers. Bring that back to the working group at their February meeting. Again, with the idea, if, do we have fact sheet number 2, frequently asked questions? The nice thing is we're having 12 organizations, multiple people looking at these documents. So sharing of what one question is and learning from each other is going to be very beneficial, so that by March, boards and councils will hopefully be comfortable, have their answers, and be able to award and sign contracts in that end of March, beginning of April. And if there are any questions, Randy or I can answer them.
Thanks so much, Pam. That was really helpful. For me, a layperson, it was nicely packaged all in one place.
And I did get an email today from the consultant, and he is expecting the final revisions to both contracts within the days.
That's great.
Whether we have them in print or in electronic version, because after all the edits by the end of the week, I don't know yet.
Okay. So more to come in the new year.
There you go.
Yes, yeah, this is just the update. There will be more details. And if there's certain questions, again, the nice thing about going to multiple, I'm going to the Borough Water Authority on Thursday, is, the more questions we try to then have them in the next slide next time, so.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks for coming tonight, Pam.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, Ms. Huff has a question.
I just wanted to say yay. This was really exciting to read over when I was preparing for this meeting. So just thank you for all your work, both of you, and thank you for being here tonight, Pam.
Yep. You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a good night. Okay. Up next, we have Mount Nittany Elementary project update, along with, are you doing that one first?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's very brief, but just wanted to report to the full board and the community that we did have a coffee with the board and community at 5 o'clock today, where some of our administrators went through the project in summary form. I believe that there was a good sharing opportunity for the community to learn and ask questions. So I don't know that we have any feedback from that gathering, but I will circle up with the other administrators, and if there is any feedback, we'll make sure that that gets documented and put into the project documents if necessary. We did meet with, Mr. Fisher and I met with the Crabtree folks earlier today, and we are on track for having the building design and floor plan being presented at your April 8th meeting. There will also be, we hope to have a three-dimensional design image of the new project, and we're also looking to have the Mount Nittany Elementary building assessment information available at that meeting as well.
You said April 8th, you mean January 8th, right?
I meant Jaron.
I just wanted to double check, right?
You're good. Sorry, slip of the tongue there. I apologize.
Any other questions about Mount Nittany? It was nice to see some of the community. I thought we had some good questions earlier this evening. So district-wide facilities master plan.
Right, so we've kind of had to shift gears again with the settlement of the state budget. Then the PlanCon window is now officially closed. We were working towards on January 8th having information to submit to PlanCon the district-wide facility master plan related to Park Forest Middle School. Since that's now closed, the architects have shifted gears again. They'll be reviewing site surveys of the Park Forest Middle School possible locations that on district-owned property. They'll be, they are working on building assessments for all district facilities. That won't be available in January, but it'll be coming up in the future. And then the administration will be providing discussion about community engagement opportunities and also the steering committee and opportunities for that participation. So we have lots of work yet to do, and therefore there's not much of an update tonight, but we are working to have that available in the near future.
Great. So next, Dr. Buck.
Did it, on the district-wide facilities master plan, do I understand right that the software that you were alluding to, is that the ClearPath software? Is that what you were talking about? Do you
Yes.
remember?
Mhm.
Yes? Okay. Great.
For the greenhouse gas
For the
inventories.
greenhouse gas
Yeah.
inventory, yes. Thank you for making sure that got.
And thank you for mentioning that, because I should have and I forgot to. So
Yeah, I know that was a big concern of yours, so it was nice to see that
Yep.
Crabtree and the COG
They had a-
software will be able to talk to each other and be able to collaborate really
It was
easily.
a very
hopefully.
good, healthy meeting.
Good.
We were glad to hear that.
That's great. Any other questions about these projects? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. So moving on, we'll have some policy work yet again, but that's okay. This is just information and discussion. So Ms. Pierce is going to join us to review several new and some revised policies as well. Good evening.
Hi again. So tonight, we're going to focus on some of the 300 policies. As a reminder, up until this review, the district had employee-related policies in 300, 400, 500. We're taking them all, smushing them together to make one category that will all be 300s. So we have to rewrite some of them. The first one we're going to look at is 317.1, educator misconduct. This is language that is pretty much out of school code, PDE language. I don't know if we made any changes to it, Amy, did we? I don't think we did.
Yeah, there was a little bit of more specificity about a couple of the definitions, but it was just one thing.
Yeah.
That we kind of just made a little more explicit. but
So
there-
very minor, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit about sending and soliciting private stuff, since that seems to be a common issue. So we wanted to spell that out specifically, rather than just have two dates. But yeah, otherwise I don't think we really made any significant changes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we didn't make any significant changes in the policy committee. Sorry about that. Any kind of questions about this one? Okay.
Okay, so we're good to take it to action next meeting?
Great.
Thank you. The next one then is 318, attendance and tardiness. As you can see, it's a short policy, it's brand new. It is recommended by PSBA, but it basically addresses the applicable collective bargaining agreements and handbooks. It's just a central statement on the importance of being on time.
And the consequences, if not. Any questions? Everybody feel this is ready to move to action then next time? Great.
All right, then we have 319, outside activities. We just took what was in 319, 419, and 519 and came up with this. We made some clarifying statements.
Yeah, there were some minor changes, and
Yeah.
there's a little bit of talk in policy, just understanding some scenarios where this might apply, so that
Right.
was, yeah. Yeah, Dr. Buck.
Could you share a scenario or two with us? I understand, like, you might open up a can of worms for.
Some are kind of
time
awkward,
for
you know,
one.
if an employee was perhaps engaged in, one example we had was like a second job that potentially had salacious repercussions in the community that might impact their ability to.
You know, there's a second job flipping burgers at McDonald's, and there's a second job at, what's the place up on the mountain?
Yeah,
someplace
I got
else.
you. Yes, at said establishment.
There were some news stories similar to this actually in
Right.
the last
Yeah,
6
sure.
months. Yeah.
Sure, and so that might compromise.
It's their ability to run a classroom.
Right.
Should their students or other parent, or have problems with engaging with parents, that could compromise their professional work. Could.
Sure.
Mhm.
Like paid membership in like known violent organizations, if it impacted their ability to do something in a classroom. Is that what it would come down to? So if kids find out about something, or parents find out about something, and it turns into a thing inside of the school,
Exactly. I think of it a little bit like we talk about,
material disruption.
yeah, when we talk about kids' social media use, like it has to be a significant disruption to their ability to perform their duties and their job.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
see where that boundary is, because it's also maybe a little fuzzy. And
It is, and
It is very fuzzy.
It's not moral judgment, it's basically
the-
ability to do their job.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, that's really helpful. Great.
I just had a quick question. So, when I had been reading over this, it looks like it authorizes the superintendent or designee the right to evaluate. Would that be HR personnel?
Maybe. I'll give you my technical HR answer. It depends.
Yes.
It could be an assistant superintendent, it could be director of special education, it could be me, it could be Randy. It would really depend on the situation.
Okay. Do you have a process for faculty or staff to bring outside activities to your attention that they're doing and ask for feedback about whether?
We do not ask that they do that.
Okay.
We have had a couple of people come forward and talk about it, but that's all. I mean, I can only remember one or two, maybe three, but we don't ask folks to get clearance.
Okay.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So, is there an equivalent of, what is the student, safe to say, or, not safe to say, is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah, like, is there an equivalent for faculty who are worried about, am I thinking about this too hard?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I think
I'm gonna
so.
stop.
We
Be a
have
substantial disruption.
employees calling us, not frequently, but regularly, with questions and concerns about other employees. Is that what you're thinking?
That sounds like it's about what I'm thinking
Okay.
of, and I'm happy to move on.
Okay, sounds good. Any other clarifying questions? Okay to move this to action next time? All right, that
Thank you.
sounds good.
And the last one is 340, responsibility for student welfare.
I don't think we made too many changes to this, and it does overlap with, there's some other policies that also talk about, you know, things like not driving a student without it being an emergency and having permission from various people and stuff like that. So some of those topics are covered in a couple different recent policies, but this brings in this particular area altogether. Okay, any other questions? Good to move to action? Seems so.
All right, thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Linda. So that concludes information reports. Wow, I'm very proud of this team. This was a pretty big agenda with all the retirements and stuff, and it's not even 9 o'clock, so well done. So we'll have board reports. This is the opportunity for board members to provide an update on committee initiatives. So first up, we have the Central Intermediate Unit with Ann.
We had a meeting on Thursday, December 14th, and there were 3 items of note. Jeff Johnstone from Keystone Central will continue to serve as president. Our own Jackie Hoff was elected CIU Board Vice President. And that's happy news. The less happy news is Dr. Endler, the CIU Executive Director, requested approval for exploratory services at the North Front Street building as the search for a new administration building continues.
And even that is sort of happy news.
That is happy news, but it's just a saga.
It's a
that
saga.
It's but yes, there is a venue to look at. So, yes.
That's good. That's it. Okay. Next, we have the SCASD Education Foundation Liaison. That's me. Essentially, they elected officers, which are mostly returning officers, and finalized some of their decisions about maroon and gray recipients. So there's no announcements for that yet. There's some conversations with the potential recipients that have to happen, but that will be coming in the near future. And next we have CTC. Carlene? Okay, no meeting, okay. So moving on to Citizens Advisory Committees. First, we have athletics, that's you two.
Jessica Benson stole my thunder because I was going to talk about Rally for Rudy, but that's all I had to say.
I know, ironically, I thought it was going to be in the student information, and I was going to talk about it too, and then I realized it was in the superintendent report. So yeah, we all love Rudy. I hope a lot of people can show up for that event. That'd be great.
Me too.
So facilities, Gretchen or Peter?
We have not had a meeting.
Okay, that's what I thought. Finance, Deb or Aaron?
We have not had a meeting. The next one is scheduled for January 10th.
Okay, great. School health and safety, I'm thinking, has not met yet. That's Ann and Dan, no. Yeah, because that's like quarterly.
not.
Yeah, so. And last, we have technology.
We have not met yet.
Technology is often, we haven't met.
If anybody wants to join the technology committee, get a hold of me. Right now, it's me.
Hi, Dan. I'm over here.
I need some help.
It's a
So
party of
moved,
one?
yeah.
All right. So that concludes our agenda for this evening. And looking ahead to future meetings, we have January 8th will be Committee of the Whole regular board meeting here at 7 p.m. in Panorama Village Administration Center in the boardroom. January 16th, we'll have Policy Development Committee at 12 p.m. in Panorama Village Administrative Center. And January 22nd, the board regular meeting will be at 7 p.m. here in the boardroom at Panorama Village. I'd like to now, I am going to adjourn the meeting at 8:35. Everybody had a good night. We learned to change.